broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Members in the chamber, please be aware that we are all on camera and you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking. And please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you wish to speak. Please remember to keep your microphones muted when you're not talking. Moving on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, attendance. Democratic Services will be making a note of members' attendance in the meeting, but should you lose connection, could you possibly leave a comment in the chat bar on your return to ensure that this is picked up? Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Geraint, have we any apologies, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Yeah, we've got apologies from Councillors John Haller, Peter Jones, although he has just asked me for the link, so I think he's going to be joining soon. But John Haller, Peter Jones, Sue Malson, Chris Tew and Lucy Williams.
Thank you, Geraint. Any other apologies? Thank you, Gaynor. Any other apologies? No, thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Gareth Harris, Monitoring Officer and Assistant Chief Legal Officer. Have you any advice for members, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member. In relation to the member question regarding Torfaen Leisure Trust, Councillor Richard Clark, who is responding to that question, wishes to declare a personal interest as a council-appointed trustee on the board of the Leisure Trust. So if I could ask Councillor Clark to confirm that interest.
Thank you, Gareth. Yes, I confirm it.
Thank you. I'm not aware of any other interest, Madam Presiding Member. Thank you.
Any member wishing to declare an interest? Thank you very much.
Sorry, Madam Presiding Officer, just mentioning that I'm on the board of the EAS with regard to members' questions.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Agenda item 4, confirmation of council minutes. These are starting on page 5. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. I don't see any hands raised. Thank you very much. They are approved. Agenda item 5, confirmation of council minutes on the 28th of the 6th, 2022, starting on page 19. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. No hands raised. Thank you very much. They are approved. Agenda item 6, update on actions. Members, the update on actions, what has been done to implement our previous decisions, start on page 41 of the agenda. Could you possibly indicate whether you have any questions or comments? No? Can I ask members if they agree to note the update on actions? I think they're all completed when I read the minutes. Thank you, members. They are noted. Agenda item 7, receipt of petitions. We have no petitions, so we move on to agenda item 8, public question time. There are no public questions, so we'll move on to agenda item 9, the announcements from the leader and Chief Executive. Leader, do you have any announcements, please?
Yes, please, Rose. Thank you. Can I start by paying tribute to the Royal Welsh and the Royal British Legion following the Freedom of the Borough ceremony at the weekend. Thank you to all involved in organising the day and to all who came along to support it too. It was also good to open the Wales and Battle of Britain exhibition at a very warm Pontypool market last Monday, as it stopped here on its tour of Wales, and to help reopen the Folly Tower and Shell Grotto, which are open to visitors this August bank holiday, thanks to the Friends of Pontypool Park. Can I thank all involved in the many events around Torfaen this summer, from Cumbraen Big Event to Party in the Park in Pontypool and World Heritage Day in Blenheven, and to all the local events happening across the borough. Can I also wish good luck and a successful summer to our renowned play service as they embark on their Staff and Volunteers Training Week this week. The reputation they have around Wales is well deserved for the quality of opportunities they give local children, and that's not something we should take for granted. Next, can I thank all involved in our Nifty Thrifty school shop earlier this month, which was held at the Congress Theatre. 170 people registered and many others showed up to the free event, where parents across the borough could pick up back-to-school essentials like uniform, school bags and coats, stationery, and receive other advice and help with the rising cost of living. The event was so successful that we are arranging another one on the 17th of August from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Pontypool Market. Next, can I remind members that nominations are open for Torvine Voluntary Alliance's Community and Volunteer Awards 2022. If you'd like to highlight someone in your community who shows selflessness and devotion to helping others, or highlight a local group that does good work, you have until the end of this month to nominate, and there are many categories. Last of all, can I thank all involved locally in helping our efforts to welcome Ukrainian evacuees to the borough. All of you involved have really shown the welcoming and the inspirational side of our community, helping trips to deliver goods to Ukraine and to Poland, including from Track 2, I know, earlier this month, to taking part in collections and donations and other assistance through local community groups, and of course those who are taking in families or letting out properties so that can happen. Thank you to all of you, because you really do show the caring and the welcoming side of our community. And that's it. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Leader. Chief Exec, do you have any announcements?
No announcements from myself, Madam Presiding Member.
Thank you very much. That takes us on to agenda item number 10, which is the annual report of the Ethics and Standards Committee on page 43. Can I welcome Mr. Andrew Walsh, the Independent Chair of the Ethics and Standards Committee. Could you please deliver your report, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Member. This is the 12th report that the Ethics and Standards Committee have submitted to the Council, but it's the first since the change in legislation. So this is now, whereas we did it because it was a good thing to do, it's still a good thing to do, but it's now a statutory requirement that we do it as well. The report itself speaks of the work that the committee has done throughout the year, and I think is self-explanatory. There are a few things I'd like to highlight, if I may. Firstly, as I mentioned earlier, there's been a change in legislation. Not only does it require a report by this committee to the council, but it also requires the leaders of political groups within the authority to maintain high standards of behaviour and ethics. So there's a statutory responsibility on leaders, and there's a necessity, I think, for the leaders and the committee to occasionally meet to update and exchange ideas and monitor jointly how things are progressing and going forward. How this will work at the moment, I'm not quite sure, but we're still awaiting guidance from the Assembly, Welsh Assembly, as I understand it. So when we've got that, perhaps we can be able to work together and put a system in place. You'll note on the end of the report the summary of the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales report on behaviour. And you can see, I think, that there's a big rise in misconduct across the Principality. We're very fortunate here that we don't have that problem. We've had one referral to us under the local protocol, and I think the local protocol is a very time-saving way of resolving minor disputes between members, and I think it needs to be encouraged to be used whenever possible rather than going to the Ombudsman. But one of the reasons why we're in such a fortunate position, I would submit, is the quality of training delivered by the monitoring officer to members. It's of high quality, and these members know no doubt what their responsibilities are. And I think this has led to a very quiet year on the front of investigations and committee hearings. That's all I'd like to say, Madam Presiding Member, but I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Walsh or the report? I can't see any questions. Can I thank you, Mr. Walsh, for the work that you do on the Ethics and Standards Committee, and please pay our personal thanks for your committee too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I will do that.
Thank you. The recommendations are on page 44 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree with the recommendations? Thank you. Anybody against the recommendations? And are there any abstentions? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Agenda item 11 is the response to the petition in relation to the removal of geese at Two Locks, Cumbran, on page 167. Daniel Morelli, Head of Public Protection, could you deliver your report for us, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member, and good morning all. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, great, okay. So this report has been prepared in response to a petition submitted to the Council by Councillor Haynes on the 28th of June 2022. The petition signed by 1,006 individuals seeks assurance that two geese, which have been removed from Two Locks towpath in Cumbran and rehomed in an appropriate environment and continue to have access to wildfowl and human contact, or failing this, the geese will be placed into an appropriate environment. This report sets out the circumstances leading to the removal and rehoming of the geese and provides assurance about the steps taken by the Council and the safety and welfare of the geese. The decision to rehome the geese was taken as a last resort to protect the public, pet dogs and the geese themselves. It should be noted that the Council received several reports of residents being attacked by the geese. Following advice from the Council's legal services, intervention by the Council to protect the public was deemed necessary. Steps were taken to ensure the geese's welfare throughout, and officers are satisfied that they have been suitably rehomed, although it should be noted that we are unable to disclose the location of the geese as they are at a private address in Torfaen. I can confirm that no further complaints have been received, and last week we were provided with video footage by the keeper of the geese. And if members have any questions, I'm happy to take any questions. And also we have John Clements, the team manager for environmental health, who is with us this morning as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Members, do you have any questions? Peter Jones.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I'd just like to thank officers for the sensitive way they've handled this issue. When this was really kicking off, I received numerous complaints particularly from vulnerable elderly residents in my ward. And after the situation was resolved, I received many, many thanks for the situation being sorted out. And at all times, the residents, myself, and I know my fellow councillors, we all wanted to make sure that the geese were safe, but they were causing a lot of danger and they were impeding people going about their business. They even attacked the postman delivering letters. So thank you, officers. You dealt with this very sensibly.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Is there a response from the officer? No.
Just to say, Councillor Jones, thank you, and I'll feed back the comments as well to the officers who have been involved in this case as well. So your comments are appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Colette.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to echo the comments made by my colleague Peter Jones. I also had lots of complaints about the geese there, and I think we have a very satisfactory conclusion. I would like to thank the officers, all the officers involved, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. More thanks for the officers. Thank you very much. I got Councillor Haynes on. Councillor Haynes.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Just to confirm that my resident Sandra Stevens will be written to with this.
Councillor Haynes is asking if the resident who presented the report will be, or the petition will be written to.
Okay. Yeah, it was our understanding that the petition was set up by Councillor Haynes. So the recommendation in the report is that we issue a public statement just to confirm the arrangements that have been put in place and provide the assurance to all those signatories to the petition that the geese continue to be safe and well. So that was the recommendation that is being proposed. So hopefully that addresses Councillor Haynes's question.
Actually not, because even though the petition account was in my name, it was written and started by St Giles Ward resident Sandra Stevens, and that is on public record in the meeting that it was submitted to. They didn't know how to do an online petition, so I assisted them by uploading their writing to the account so that an online petition. So this really does need to go back to Sandra Stevens, and that information and her address and everything was given when I submitted the petition on their behalf as the supporting councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Haynes. I'm sure officers can arrange for Sandra Stevens to be informed of the council's decision.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are you happy with that, Daniel?
Yes, thank you. I am aware that we've previously written to the individual that Councillor Haynes referred to, but of course we will also provide the statement to the resident as well.
Thank you for that. I can't see any other hands up or raised hand icons, so I'm taking you to the recommendations, which also will include a letter to Sandra Stevens, and the recommendations are on page 53. Can I ask members whether they agree with the recommendations, please? Thank you. Are there any members against the recommendations? No. Are there any abstentions?
I will abstain. Thank you, Chair. It's Councillor Haynes for the record.
Thank you, Councillor Haynes. That recommendation is carried with one abstention. That takes us to agenda item 12, motions on notice. There are no motions on notice, so we'll move on. Agenda item 13 takes us to the members' question time. There are 3 members' questions today. I'll refer to the sheet. And your first question is Councillor Janet Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Further to the announcement by Torfaen Leisure Trust that their Chief Executive is leaving the organisation, could the Deputy Leader please offer an update on any possible changes as a result?
Deputy Leader, please.
Thanks, Janet, for the question. This comes under the education portfolio, and the Chief Officer Education has met with the outgoing TLT Chief Executive, the Chair of the Leisure Trust, the General Manager, Head of Leisure, and the Director of Finances to hear from the board their next steps. They've confirmed that they're going out for advert. In reality, they've gone out for advert since this answer was prepared. They have confirmed that the leading recruitment agency has been approached to deal with the process, and the Trust is considering appointing an interim Chief Executive just to see us through that process and provide support. The Trust has indicated that it will be open for business as usual, and certainly in the short term there are no changes proposed. We continue to have a good working relationship with the Trust, and there are appropriate processes in place to ensure both the Council or the Trust have opportunities, I knew it began with op, to discuss any issues of concerns. There is a Leisure Partnership Board which allows that. I'm sure when the new Chief Executive is appointed, there will be changes as we've approached changes with our new Chief Executive, and I'm sure the Chief Executive then will be very keen to come before us at a seminar to outline their vision for the future.
Thank you, Richard. That was, you answered my question about possibly having a new seminar with a new chair. My second question...
Can I just put on record for the Council, please, our grateful thanks to Harriet Collins. She took over from Sally Church, one of our previous officers, and has done a tremendous job for Torfaen Leisure Trust, and we wish her well in the future. Thank you.
Totally endorse that, Councillor Seaborn. My second question is, in view of the escalating energy cost, what impact on services provided at our leisure centres do we envisage? In view that I've been reading that in some areas, not in Wales at the moment, they are considering cutting the hours that the leisure centres are open, which will have an impact on well-being?
Firstly, the subsequent end to this question was going to thank Anne Harrod for the work that she's done, but the Chair and your good self have beat me on that, so I will place on record certainly my thanks to Anne Harrod, picking up, not necessarily a difficult period, but any change is different and setting your own stamp and living under the shadow of the previous Chief Executive. She certainly struck forth her own ownership of the Trust, and certainly was a key partner during the COVID period where they supported this authority and the whole Valley during that period. So I would have put my thanks on record, but I'll do them at the beginning of that question rather than at the end. To answer your question, Janet, and thank you for it, no changes to the services have been signalled at this time, but clearly the rising costs of energy will impact significant users, including the Leisure Trust, and I'm sure again in that seminar any changes will be advised. Officers will continue to keep a routine contact with the Trust and offer any support and deal with any issues that raise, but we'll notify you as and when.
Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Takes us to question 3. Councillor David Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. My question is, could you please update members on how the post-inspection action plan is progressing, please, and any further updates you might have? Also, I understand the head of Crossy Killiog High has left post. Do you know if we have a new head ready for September?
Thank you, Councillor Thomas, for your question and your continued concern with education. Yes, the post-inspection action plan is continuing. We have the improvement conference that we're aware of in September. Eston have changed the date of that. It was the 14th. It's now gone to the 22nd. If I've told anybody the 24th, it's because I'm crazy and I can't remember dates. It is the 22nd, the 24th being a Saturday. The focus on the period is to look at action. We're already underway with the review of the ALN area, which we mentioned at previous meetings, and the Pupil Support Service review is well advanced. So even though the action plan won't be ready until September, or be considered by Eston, sorry, the action plan exists, considered till September, we're not on a hiatus until that happens. There's been a successful head teachers conference 14th of July where they engaged heavily with the service and warts and all perspective put. That's been very constructive. It has focused the PIAP and the PIAP will be brought before members before that date on the 22nd of September for members to contribute as well. So just for information, the 22nd was Eston will look at the PIAP. They will offer constructive criticism at that time, although they're working with us up to the 22nd. They will accept it or otherwise on the 22nd and will be reviewed at that point. And obviously I'll bring a report back to Councillor and the Council and the Scrutiny Committee. In respect of Crossy Killiog School, Elspeth Lewis is retiring. I will definitely offer my thanks to her, as I was to Anne Harrod. I'm sure she's contributed significantly to the school coming out of special measures. The lady is a dynamo, unbelievable whirlwind. You know, you get caught up in the enthusiasm that the lady has. A new head teacher has been appointed, Natalie Richard. She joins us from Cardiff West Community High School, and she will be joining us in September, so there is no gap.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Thank you, Councillor Clark. That takes us to agenda item 14, which is the Cabinet decisions of 12th of July 2022. The Cabinet decisions start on page 55 and are for Council to note. There were no challenges to any of the decisions. Anybody wishing to speak? I can't see any hands raised. No? So can I ask members whether they agree to note the recommendations of the Cabinet? Thank you. Are there any members against any of the recommendations on the Cabinet minutes? Are any members that would like to abstain? Thank you very much. They are carried and noted. Agenda item 15, the date and time of the next meeting. For your information, members, the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 20th of September 2022 at 10 a.m. Can I thank members for their attendance this morning? This is the end of the meeting, and may I wish you all a relaxing August break. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.